Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy Dave from NewEraSens.com. With me as a new co-host for the weekly report will be Jake moving forward. How's it going, Jake?
I'm doing great. Nice to be here. Thanks for asking me to come on. It's gonna be fun.
No problem. You got the nice jacket on. You're gonna
Thank you.
you're gonna you're gonna outdress me, which is cool. It's not hard to
After
do. I'm
all.
not I'm not a dressy guy, so I also see you got some new threads in the background.
Oh yeah, I got my Brady Kachuk the 2D jersey up there, and up here to my right, to my left, you can't see it, but it's an Eric Carlson Fanatics jersey.
Fantastic. Yeah, I got Shabbat there. I got Stutzel behind me. I got Carlson all the way to the right, and then I got Pajot with the O.
Oh, that's a lot. That's really nice. I'm
I
a
know.
I'm a big jersey collector. I'm trying to get at least one jersey for every team. I've got like 8 Sens jerseys so far, so I'm gonna branch out more. I'm getting a Ryan O'Reilly St. Louis jersey in the next couple weeks.
Nice, yeah, and I remember you were circulating a picture of you in a Leafs jersey. I think
Uh,
we almost petitioned to fire you, but we kept you.
I'm only rooting for the Leafs just because I have Marner on my fantasy team, but I'm trying to trade him. Don't worry.
Fair enough. All right, let's jump into it, man. So we are about a week into the beginning of the season. Um, the Ottawa Senators have a good record, not a losing record, not a winning record. As of this recording, they are 1-1-1. Um, so far, what do you think of the team?
So I'll be quite honest. I haven't been able to watch a single full match yet because I've been working every single game night so far. But I've always watched the replays and highlights whenever the game's done, and whenever I'm driving home from work, I always get the chance to listen to the last 5 or 10 minutes of the third period. So it's pretty great. So I like what I've seen so far. At first, I wasn't really sold on Josh Norris. Don't get me wrong, I love Josh Norris, but at first, I didn't think he was fully NHL ready. But honestly, I admit it, I'm wrong. He's definitely growing into his game. He's getting a lot better each game goes on. Same thing with Timmy Superstar.
Yeah, man. So for me, Norris is a question mark at the beginning as well. I snatched him up in the fantasy league just because I had a feeling because of who his line mates were announced to be. So the biggest concern was his size and
Mhm.
not being big enough to play in the NHL. But when you play alongside with guys like Brady Tkachuk, you don't have to worry about that too much, right?
Exactly.
You gotta make the plays. You got to get yourself open and get the puck on your stick, and you'll be fine.
Mhm.
So yeah, so far I've been happy. I've made it very clear in public that to me Matt Murray's been average. There's to me there's the elite goalies, and then there's the Matt Murray guys, and then
Mhm.
there's below that, right? So
Mhm.
I'm not saying Matt Murray is bad by any means. Matt Murray is a really good goalie. He's not superstar status. I think he's keeping the crease warm until Decord's ready to jump in.
That's fair.
Um, yeah, so like I said, to me, I've been happy with their play. I think the more they play, the more they're going to mesh and glue, and you'll see a lot more production out of everybody. The defense is a little weak, so I think we're going to be one of those teams that really has to win more games by putting more pucks in the net than defending. Right, more 5-2 wins as opposed to 1-0 wins.
Yeah, for sure. I think that definitely the defense has been shaky at times, but it's what's going to happen with a younger team, as Pierre Dorian likes to say it. This is a very young team in terms of not just age, but in terms of it's a young season. It's a young atmosphere. Obviously, your top six is filled with Brady Kachuk, 22 years old, Josh Norris, 22 years old as well. Drake Batherson is 23, I think, 21 or 23. I forgot exactly how old it is. Timmy Stusla is 18 years old.
19. He just turned 19 on opening night.
That's right. Yes, that's right. That's right. He is 19 years old. Yeah. He and then Stepan and Dadanov even it out being a little older, being 30 and 31 respectively, I believe, if I remember correctly. So it's definitely it's not all the young guys playing, as we can tell with Colin White sitting so far, and Logan Brown being still in the AHL, but it's definitely on its way there. I don't think you're gonna just throw every single young gun right away. You got to ease them you got to sort of ease them in to the lineup if they're ready. And honestly, I don't think Logan Brown is ready yet, but that we'll talk about later. I will comment on Matt Murray. I think Matt Murray has been exactly as advertised. He can stop a puck. He is a good goalie. No way is he a Carey Price or a Andrei Vasilevsky, but he's not necessarily as bad as some of my Leafs friends Friends who are Leafs fans will say. Sorry, I struggled there. Everybody seems to say he's one of the worst goalies in the league, and I highly disagree with that. I think Matt Murray is, I'd say he's an above average starter. I'd give him, if I'm ranking A, B, C, and D, D being the worst and A being the best, I'm going to rank him as a B kind of goalie.
No, and that's fair. See, I was one of the people that was really vocal about his signing in Ottawa, and I thought, he played 2 years in front of a really good team, got 2 cups, and then he played 2 more years where the team wasn't great in front of him. His numbers wasn't great either. So I thought maybe a lot of his wins and a lot of his play was due to the team in front of him. But he's proving right now that he could still be a solid guy in the net with an average team in front of him. But again, it's early into the season. He hasn't been challenged in a sense where he hasn't been peppered with 35, 40 shots, being outshot 40-20. Like he has not been in a situation like that where it's really up to him to win the game. So we'll see how he deals with that when that comes. So
yeah, for sure.
So moving on, I know you said you haven't had a chance to watch many games, but you've got a lot of highlights. You've listened a lot. You've paid attention to social media. You're all over Twitter, so you see people posting all the clips on Twitter and stuff. Is there a player that has impressed you the most so far?
As much as I want to say he's Timmy Stützle, we all knew he could be a superstar, so I'm not going to say that. Drake Batherson has been as great as I expected him to be. He plays very similar to Mark Stone, where he's great at takeaways, he's great defensively, and he's great offensively as well. He can create plays, but he's also responsible in his own end as well. I like that about him. Brayachuk has been great. Stepan has been really great too. So Stepan has actually surprised a lot of people. A lot of people, when we brought Stepan in, they thought necessarily he was going to be like an alternate kind of guy, but no, he's been a staple in his top six, and he's earned that 100%. He's definitely a part of the stepdad line, and as much as some people don't like it, I love Stepan. I'm a big fan of him, but the biggest surprise for me is easily Josh Norris. Like I said at the beginning of the season, I was surprised he made the NHL the first. I thought he wasn't finishing in AHL. Last year was his first year in EA. I thought he needed at least one more year just to fine-tune his game a little bit more, because we know offensively what he has, but his weaknesses are definitely his physical side, and that in his defensive game, while it's not the worst, it could use a bit of work. So with him being in the NHL this year, I was very surprised, and I didn't expect much, but so far he's really impressed me big time as term. Offensively, I'm not surprised, but he's definitely growing his game a lot, and I really like it. He's showing a lot of maturity in his game, and you gotta love the German connection with him being raised in Germany and Tim Stützle being from Germany.
Yeah, that was a cool little tidbit when it came out. For me, I'm gonna say my biggest surprise has to be Nick Paul.
Ooh.
Now, Nick Paul, we knew Nick Paul was a worky man. Like that guy, he works hard day in, day out. He's gonna give it his all every game. Man, that guy looks like a man possessed every time he's on the ice. Now he's not the guy that's 3 goals and an assist, 4 points into the game 3 already. No, that's not what he is. But what he does do is he's banging on the boards. He's winning his one-on-one battles for the puck. He's all over the ice. He's forechecking really well. He's forcing D-to-D bad passes. He's doing a lot of things right on the ice, and he's one of those guys. Like I said, he may not throw all the points up like people want him to, but he's doing everything else on the ice, and he has been literally my favorite so far. And I know for guys like Neftali, for example, I think him as well. He was saying his favorite has been Nick Paul, or I think it was either Neftali or was Sammy. One of the two said that, Paul was the guy, and I got to agree. But my close second would have been Josh Norris. So, what about most disappointing player?
Oh, the most disappointing. Before I go, I'll actually comment on Nick Paul too, if that's all right.
Yeah, hell yeah, go for it, man.
Okay. So with Nick Paul I think Nick Paul, obviously he's not the star of the team, he's not the face of the franchise, but that's not what you want him to be. You want Nick Paul to be a role play kind of guy, Swiss Army knife type of player, and that's exactly what he is. Think of a guy like Jean-Gabriel Pageau. Most of his time in Ottawa, except for his last year, he was a third-line center. He was an ideal guy to play up and down the lineup as need be. He's great offensively, and he's even better defensively. He can do literally anything you ask him to. I think Nick Paul is going to be the new Jean-Gabriel Pageau, if you want. Like, he's not as good as Pageau. I don't think he's going to be as fan favorite as Pageau was, because Pageau has always been one of my favorite players. But Nick Paul has that type of skill where you can do a little bit of everything. For example, a couple of years ago, he won in the skill competition. He won the hardest shot. He won the fastest skater. And there's a third one he won too. As it wasn't accuracy.
I think it was accuracy. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was actually.
Nick Paul is the perfect NHL player. He's not necessarily a first-line guy. Ideally, you can play him there for a couple games or a couple shifts if you need to with injury. But he's the perfect guy you can play up and down your lineup. Another guy actually who's really impressed me so far, is just stats-wise, has been Nikita Zaitsev. Set all your Cody Ceci memes aside. Set all your cap hits jokes about Nikita Zaitsev. Forget his cap hit. He's been great so far this year. I don't necessarily wish him to be a Senator 5 years down the road, but for now, he's a perfect option to help ease in the young guys.
Amen. Now, who is your most disappointed player?
Okay. That one's a little hard. Wow, that's a little hard.
Do you want me to go first? Because mine's easy. And everyone's been saying it. And okay, Dadonov. So
yes,
when Dadonov came in, everybody had high expectations. He's going to come in. He's going to score 25 goals, which he still can. I mean, ratio wise, he's probably not going to in a 56 game season. But people do need to relax a little bit. He's getting to know everybody. He's getting to know the style of play. But I'm not worried so much about the offensive production. My thing is he's been almost invisible and not noticeable on the ice. So you watch games and you're watching guys like Nick Paul, you're noticing everybody, but then you're like, oh yeah, that's right, Dadonov's there tonight. Halfway through the second. So to me, Dadonov has been the most disappointing just because he's not producing offensively, which is not the big deal right now. Like, I mean, later on that might be a problem if it continues. But right now, because he needs to at least be noticeable on the ice. He needs to be doing other things on the ice, earning his 5 point whatever contract. And he just hasn't been doing that.
That's a very fair assessment. And I'm going to comment on him. That's going to be my biggest disappointment too. He's been such a disappointment to me that I forgot about him, honestly. As you said. But the thing is, I'm not necessarily going to blame it on him, though. I think that back in Florida and back in his KHL days, even back to his Nashville days, Dadonov is a shoot first kind of guy. He's the guy you want on the. I noticed he's playing on the front end of the umbrella on the power play. You want him playing on the wing sides of the power play, not on the front end. He's playing more of a playmaker role in Ottawa. I don't necessarily like that. He can pass the puck, sure, but it's not his primary asset. On the power play, you need him in a one-time situation. Get Timmy Dusla to pass him. Get Derek Stepan to pass him. Get Thomas Chabot to pass him. Don't make him pass to the other guys. Let him use his shot. I like DJ Smith a lot, but I think DJ Smith has used some players in the wrong spots this year. For example, I really don't like how Dadonov's been used. I don't like how Galchenyuk is used. I'd really like to see, for example, if Dadonov doesn't wake up or doesn't necessarily start putting up points yet, I'd like to see Dadonov get either moved down on the lineup or even dropped for a game to get Galchenyuk in. Because the one game Galchenyuk played so far, he was one of our best players. Even though he only played minutes he was easily one of our best players that entire night. I want to see Galchenyuk play a role. But if you allow me to talk to you about Galchenyuk, I think Galchenyuk more is playing of a fringe role this year. I don't like it, but as much as how I assess it, I think he's a replacement for Timmy if Timmy needs a break or if Timmy gets injured, as we've seen. That's what I think is going to be for now. I want him to get a bigger role in the team, Galchenyuk, but I'm not necessarily upset with his role right now.
See, I think they're going to leave him in a lineup. They're going to remove guys like Paquette or something.
Oh yeah, Paquette. Oh my God, I've seen Paquette.
Well, it's too short of a season to play the we're going to take you off and we're going to put you on the taxi squad. We're going to let Paquette play, and we're going to let him lose that job to you. And then when you play, you got to earn it. It's okay. You're playing good. Taxi squad, the next bum who's just not doing his job.
Yeah, exactly.
No offense to Paquette. He just. I mean, I've noticed the back-to-back games where he's drawing crap penalties. That's what I've noticed with Paquette. That's pretty much the extent.
I like Paquette. He's a very, very versatile bottom six player. As a bottom six player, he was a very important depth part in Tampa's Stanley Cup win last year. But I don't like that he's being used too much. He's being almost used too much in terms of they're playing their fourth line more than anything else this year. I don't like that. I really don't like it at all. Paquette is a good player, but you don't want him shine guys out like Colin White or Alex Galchenyuk. That's my opinion. I really don't like seeing a guy like I said, Paquette over White, Paquette over Galchenyuk. Just no, it doesn't sit easy with me. Same thing with Anisimov. Anisimov apparently had a really good camp. I haven't seen any of that yet.
No.
No.
Lafreniere. Alexis Lafreniere, that guy. I mean, again, everything is premature because we're only a few games into the season. I mean, for all we know, after this podcast, or sorry, this episode of the Weekly Report gets put out there, for all we know, he's going to go on a banger. Every game he's going to score 2 goals. But right now, he's just not meshing. He reminds me a lot of last year, a lot of pressure. Jack Hughes, right? Jack Hughes came in with a lot of pressure as a number 1 guy and just didn't perform. If you watch Jack Hughes this year, Jack Hughes is doing great. Do you think maybe it's the pressure of being the number 1 overall? You're in the spotlight in New York. No bigger platform than New York when it comes to an American team. It's like the Toronto of the United States, right? So I think personally, and I want to get your opinion on it. What is keeping Lafreniere off the score sheet right now?
All right, it's not Panarin. Panarin's probably, in my opinion, Panarin's the best player in New York. But let's step aside of that. Alexis Lafreniere currently, if my memory serves correctly, he's playing for Ryan Strome. I know this very well because Ryan Strome was on my fantasy team this year until I dropped him. In 3 games, Ryan Strome has no points. 3 games, Lafreniere has no points. They're playing together. I think it's more of a situation of, obviously, first, it's the jitters. It's the monkey. He needs to get that monkey off his back. And as soon as he gets that monkey off his back, his first goal at first point, I think he's not necessarily going to explode, but he's going to do a lot better. I love Alexis Lafreniere. He's going to have a great career, but he's just a little – I think the way he plays, he seems a little stressed. I think he needs to take a step back and figure out, sure, I'm not going to be a superstar this year, but what can I do this year to be a superstar later on? He's going to be the face of the NHL in a couple of years. He's going to be great. Want to know what he really reminds me of, actually, rookie season terms? Joe Thornton scored 3 goals his entire rookie season. Look at him now. Look at the career he's built for himself.
Yeah, now he's retiring an old guy in Toronto. Before that, though, I love Jumbo Joe. Before that, I love Jumbo Joe before that. But no, I see what you're saying with Lafreniere. Same thing with Jack Hughes, right? You can come out, might have a bad opening season, the jitters, whatever. But I think Lafreniere might have a decent season, but he's not going to break out and feel very comfortable, I think, until next season. But at the end of the day, this is the best season for you to get it out when there's no fans in a stand booing you. When you don't have the electricity of the fans behind you, just making you like all that hype, sometimes will make you make mistakes. You're excited, you just want to get going, and you're like, yeah, you can feel that energy, but sometimes it's not always a good thing. But it's no fans in the arena. If there is a year where he needs to, get used to playing the NHL, play with the big boys and stuff like that, this year would be it. So hopefully he catches on sooner rather than later.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's just Alexis Lafreniere is a really great player, but sometimes it takes time to just fit in. If you look at Kirill Kaprizov for a long time, he was regarded as one of the best players outside of the NHL. It took him time. Look at him now. Rookie season, he's already turning heads. 2 games, 2 points. 1 overtime goal, 1 overtime assist. Can't get better than that, honestly. I love him. I love Lafreniere. He's going to do great. Just give him time, honestly. That's all I got to say.
Fair enough. So I have not looked at the standings once, simply because I think I don't care who's in first and who's in last right now.
It's too early on.
Yeah, I'm going to wait a few weeks before I start looking and being like, okay, this is where we're at. But that being said, in the North Division, what team has surprised you the most, and which team would you consider as the biggest bust so far?
Surprise? I'm really surprised by Montreal. I know they did a lot in the offseason, but if you look at the last couple of years, in 2017, I think it was, the winner of the offseason was declared to be the Dallas Stars. The next year, they didn't even make the playoffs. Sometimes the best moves on paper Sometimes when we make the most moves, sometimes they're not the best move. So I not predicted, but I assumed that Montreal would have a little bit of an off year. I didn't think that they were going to do as too great this year. But honestly, they've really surprised me. Jonathan Drouin, 3 points, 3 games. Thomas Tatar's been even great too. Brendan Gallagher's been phenomenal so far. I love this team. Like this team is great.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I almost dislike Montreal as much as I dislike Toronto. But at the end of the day, I'm a hockey guy first.
Yeah.
And you got to give Montreal the props, man. Like they're tearing it up. Montreal's been really good. Carey Price has been really good. That team has really meshed and glued really fast. Everybody's showing up every game. They're taking it to Edmonton, and I watched them play about 2.5 periods against Edmonton, and it was like watching an AHL team versus an NHL team.
Yeah.
And to me, it's because Edmonton's also disappointing, but because Montreal legitimately looked like I'm going to say like a top 10, maybe top 8 NHL team. Like they looked really good, so I was happy. But who's your most disappointing? Like when you look at the standings in the Canadian division,
I know who you're going to say, but I'm going to disagree with that. So far, I'm going to say that Vancouver I haven't necessarily seen a Vancouver game, but I haven't heard anything about them. So that just goes to show that for me that maybe they're not doing so great. I don't really know how they're doing. I haven't had any time at all to follow hockey as much this week.
Yep.
Just because I was just working all that.
Yep.
And just a new semester of college. But I haven't heard anything about Vancouver, and that for me is a little bit of a bad sign. How are they doing? Do you know?
Vancouver is 1 win, 3 losses. They only have, they have 9 goals for, 16 against. The goaltending isn't working out as well as you hope so. And I got Holtby in the fantasy league. Not for long, but anyways. So Vancouver, 4 games played, 1 win, 3 losses. Is that who is your most disappointing so far?
I'm going to say Vancouver just based on that. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about them, and if the goaltending isn't working, it's not working. Like I'm a big fan of Braden Holtby. I think his last year was a fluke. He's not that bad. He's a really good goalie. He just needs to get his confidence back. His play really relies on how he prepares himself and his confidence. I think he's got to find something different because what he's doing right now just isn't working. He's got to move on from what he's doing now and figure something else out. That's my opinion.
I was a big advocate in having Ottawa maybe pitch Holtby to Ottawa because I didn't personally want somebody for 5 years. I wanted somebody for like 2, somebody who can come in for the next 2 years. So I thought he would have been a good, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's in Vancouver. He's there for a couple of years. You'll be fine. This is the beginning of the season, but yeah, no, Vancouver has been too well. And you said you knew who I was going to say. Who would you think I was going to say?
I have the notes right in front of me, man.
Okay, but would you have assumed that's what I was going to say? Though I don't have a hate for the Oilers.
No, I know you don't.
The Flames are my 1B team.
Yeah,
and that's no secret. I love the Flames. I've been following them since 2000, since the Gimlet came around. But to me, Edmonton is my most disappointing team.
That's
so
fair.
Last year they killed the power play. The power play was the best in the league. And it was beautiful. This year they can't get anything going. So what bothers me is they have 2 wins. Both wins, Connor McDavid had to really show up, and that's the only reason why they won. I'm pretty sure he got a hat trick in one of the games.
Yeah, well,
and then Nuge got 2. So it's between him and Nuge, they won the game.
Yeah,
it's Turris showed up. I love Turris too. He's always been a fan favorite, and he still lives in Ottawa. He still calls Ottawa home. But
no, he sold his house.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Oh. So I have a little story for that. You mind me adding there?
Hold on.
My uncle lives in the same neighborhood that Kyle Turris called home. We live in Ottawa. Jason Spetz had a house in the neighborhood too. So I've been to both of their houses. I haven't been inside of Jason Spetz's house because when I first started getting the Senators, that's when he just got traded away. But Kyle Turris is the big guy in town now, and he was always a great guy. And every year during Halloween, I always went to his door, always wearing a Senators jersey, and he signed it every single year. It was great.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, I have so much love for Kyle Turris. Kyle Turris, if you're seeing this, we have to get you on the podcast.
But my thing with Turris though is when he left Nashville, I thought Nashville was just a bad omen for him.
Oh yeah,
Like
100%.
Nashville was tired of him. He was tired of Nashville.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was weight off his shoulders. He's had a really good two-way game in Edmonton, but he hasn't put up any points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not playing with superstar players, but he's not really noticeable either. It's with Edmonton outside of Nuge, McDavid, Yamamoto, and Draisaitl. There's
Barry.
really
Barry's been great so far.
Barry's a bum. Barry's
Barry.
I hate Barry. I
Barry.
When he went to Toronto, I didn't like him when he was in Colorado. So when he went to Toronto, it was ideal for me because I could just double my dislike for the guy.
That's fair.
I know some people love Barry, some people hate him. I personally just don't like the guy.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, man. Honestly, to me, Edmonton's been the most disappointing so far.
That's fair. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Mikko Koskinen had one hell of a game this game though. Like I was just watching the last game, Toronto versus Edmonton. I'm watching it just because I have Marner on my team for fantasy.
Koskinen's gonna have a lot of good games because Mike Smith is gone for the season. He's not coming back. Mike Smith is injured for the season. It's gonna be Koskinen or
Stuart Skinner. I think.
Is it?
I think it's Stuart Skinner.
I made a suggestion. I said, listen, man, we have a ton of goalies, Edmonton.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, I'm just saying, man.
See, the thing is with that, I'd really like to, if I remember correctly, I think it's Stuart Skinner playing backup. I want to see Stuart Skinner play some games as a starter because for me, Stuart Skinner is the goalie of the future for Edmonton. I think Stuart Skinner, he doesn't have superstar potential. He doesn't have Ilya Samsonov, Thatcher Demko. He doesn't have Philip Gustafson potential. I'm a big Gustafson guy, but that's a note for another time. I don't think he has that potential, but I think that he can be exactly what Matt Murray is right now, an above average starter. That's all Edmonton needs him to be.
Fair enough. There's been a lot of rumors lately with Mike Babcock coming back to the NHL and as a coach and stuff like that. I think a lot of it's been the door has been closed by quite a few teams. But again, it's all over media, right? Do you think a team hires Babcock if Babcock wants back into the NHL?
Okay.
Yay or nay? And I need an answer to why you chose yes or no.
I'll give you my why first. Is that all right?
Sure. It's going to give me the answer at the same time, so go.
Yeah. Babcock is a great coach, but a terrible person.
Dude, you pretty much just stole the words out of my mouth, and I didn't even write that down on our notes.
Yeah. No, that's my personal feeling. He's a great coach. He coached some great teams. While he definitely benefited of having Hall of Famers back in Detroit, he definitely benefited from that. He was the guy who was properly using those guys to play. Sure, what he did to Johan Franzen was absolutely terrible. And Mike Babcock is a terrible, terrible guy. And what he did with Mitch Marner, I didn't like that either. I just didn't rub me the wrong way. He's not a great guy. But coaching-wise, he knows how to use his players correctly for the most part. In Toronto, he lost the locker room because the youth movement. He lost it because he wasn't nice to his youth guys in Mitch Marner, for example. He wasn't nice to Mitch Marner, and Mitch Marner is the face of Toronto alongside Willem Nylander, Austin Matthews. If you want to say Morgan Rielly and Jonathan Tavares, even though John Tavares isn't really young anymore, he's 28, 29, or whatever he is. He lost his spot in Toronto by treating one of the guys poorly, and it rubs off. He lost the locker room.
Yeah, and whether it be Toronto, Boston, Montreal, man, at the end of the day, dude, those guys may have a natural rivalry, but no player wants to see another player be treated the way that Martin was treated.
Exactly.
So, and my answer is pretty much the same as yours, man. Where Babcock's a really good coach, but a terrible person. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like you said, in Detroit, he had the team. He looked good, and then the Olympics. Like, how do you look bad coaching an Olympic Canadian team?
Yeah, exactly.
It don't matter what you do, you look good. I think the teams that Babcock has coached over the years have always made him look good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not a good coach. I think he's a really good coach, but I think he was put a little too high on a pedestal.
Yeah.
He's not as good as everybody made out.
He's not Joe Quenneville.
No, Quenneville's earned his, man. Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? But yeah, no, Detroit, like, he was handed players on a plate. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm gonna say about Matt. I think he's a good coach, not a great coach. I just don't think there's room for that old school hockey mentality anymore in a coach, and I think that's why Ottawa went with a guy like DJ Smith, a guy who's younger and he can relate to the younger guys, and his mentality isn't kicking the garbage cans and yelling in a guy's face with his finger in his chest. Like, there's no room for that anymore. That's what Babcock is. So
Yeah, exactly. See, my thing about Babcock is, I think if he's in the right role, he can be utilized great. I think that if he has any chance to get him back to the NHL, he's got to prove that he's changed. And by do that, he's got to find some jobs somewhere else. I think what's going to happen with him is similar with what's happening with Bill Peters right now. He's coaching in the KHL right now. I think he's got to go up the ranks again and earn a spot back in the NHL if he can earn it. So I think he's going to find somewhere else to coach. Right now he's helping coaching in some sort of collegiate league. I forget where. He's doing 3 games with NBC this year as an analyst. Maybe he's as an analyst. You never know. But I think that if he wants a chance to coach again, he's going to have to do it by climbing up the ladder again. If he goes to the KHL, get a job there. And I don't think he's going to see an NHL head coach job anytime soon. But I could see him being an AHL. And sorry, not an AHL, but an assistant coach.
Yeah. We're also talking about the Olympics, and there was a comment he made where he said the next guy or somebody else can do it now. Pass the torch type deal. So he's not going to go coach the Olympics.
Yeah.
If Hockey Canada, yeah, but if Hockey Canada had invited him, so we don't know if they did or didn't, or if he got to that point yet. But one, would he have taken the job? 2, if he did take the job and they did offer it to him, that would have been a really good stone for him to step on to be like, hey guys, look, I coached Team Canada, and you can ask the guys, I did really good, it was nice and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been good for his resume. I just don't know if he even cares about coming back, man. I mean, he's still getting paid by Toronto. Why come back?
$5.5 million.
Yeah. So why, right? So,
yeah.
Lastly on my list, so who are your top 3 candidates for the Calder Trophy? We have some really good rookies this year, so it's a tough one.
I'm gonna say, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
No, you go first, man.
All right, I'm gonna go with the obvious, Timmy Superstar. He is Ottawa's Lord and Savior. I think he's gonna win it this year, but I think the 2 other options are gonna be Kirill Kaprizov and dramatic effect. I think it's gonna be. Oh, I forgot his name. Wow. New York Islanders.
Wow. The drum roll just to fail. Who'd you say? Who's your third?
Ilya Sorokin. I really like his game.
Yeah. No, and we have almost identical lists, except I threw Lafreniere on there because, like I said, there's a chance that it's Lafreniere, right? He's top ranked for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that he comes back and just really goes to town. But I think Stützle has the best chance, and here's why. Not even being Ottawa biased, but because he's going to do well and he's going to play top 6 minutes.
Exactly.
And he's going to play power play. He's going to, and I'm assuming Lafreniere might get a lot of the same, but I don't know if he's going to get power play as many power play minutes. Would they bump him to the third line? Like, who knows, right? Yeah, but I think Ottawa's built in a way where you kind of have to keep Timmy in the top 2, right? Yeah. Top 2 left winger positions. Yeah.
See, here's the thing with Stützle and Lafreniere. Lafreniere, who does he have around him? He has Artemi Panarin,
Zibanejad,
Mika Zibanejad. He has Ryan Strome. He's a great player. He has Chris Kreider. He has Capo Caco. He has, who else is there? Isn't there another right winger, Vitaly, the guy he drafted in 2018? I think it's a Russian winger too. Isn't he? Is he playing in the NHL this year or no?
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
He was drafted 6th overall a couple years ago, but I can never remember his name. 2018 6th overall. But anyways, if I can remember his name, he's probably not playing in the NHL. But he's got those are 5 guys I listed off there. Isn't the go-to guy right now in New York. He's gonna be eventually, but he's not being thrown into that pressure role where he's the guy. A thing in Ottawa is Timmy Stützle he's got Brady Tkachuk, he's got Josh Norris, he's got Drake Batherson, but they're all in the same situation as him, as they're all trying to establish themselves in the NHL. In New York, Mika Zibanejad's already an all-star. Panarin's already an all-star. Strome has had a really great year last year. Ottawa has a great up-and-coming top six. Sure, there's Derek Stepan and Evgeny Dadonov, who are proven in the NHL, but those guys are going to help develop the other guys to rise to the occasion. That is why Timmy Stützle is going to win the Calder this year. He has the best possible case scenario going for him. I could even see Josh Norris get nominated for it if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Fair enough. And last question, and this wasn't part of the notes, but who do you think in Ottawa is going to end up with the most points at the end of the season?
Wow.
Right? It's tough, man, because a lot of people are going to jump and say maybe a guy like Stützle, if he plays all year round and all stuff.
Stützle.
Yeah,
I love Stützle. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to score a point per game this year. I think he's to score on a pace where he gets a point every 2 games or a point every game and a half. Mm-hmm. But he's not going to be elite just yet. I'm going to go if Dadonov keeps if that. Okay, so I'm going to nominate 3 guys: Evgeny Dadonov, Derek Stepan, and Brady Tkachuk, and I'll explain why. Dadonov has proven himself in the NHL. He's one of the best. He has one of the best shots in the league. If he can wake up and be utilized correctly, he's going to just light the lamp. Stepan is playing with both Timmy Stützle and Dadonov. He's setting them both up. That's just a great position to succeed. And Brady Tkachuk, if you compare him to Matthew Tkachuk's first year, he was okay. I think he scored 20 goals. The next year, he scored just above 20 goals. His third year, he blew up and scored 70 points or something like that.
Yep.
Brady Tkachuk, each year he's gotten better. This is his third year. I'm really comparing Brady Tkachuk to Matthew Tkachuk in terms of development. I think Brady Tkachuk blows up this year. I think he's scoring a point per game this year, Brady Tkachuk.
See, for me, my guy's going to be Brady Tkachuk. That's why I think he's going to have the most points this year. And I'm even going to go on a limb and say he's going to have 47 points in 56 games.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to say closer to 50 to 55. I think he's going to be really close to a point per game this year.
Well, that's a good guess, man. But yeah, man, that's everything for us. We're going to wrap this up. Week 1 in the books together, man. It was a lot of fun. So thanks for being here today. And to everybody watching, don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like our content. And check out our other videos too. Go like those. We have some really cool ones. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.
Thank you so much, guys. It was super fun being here. I'm here to stay. It's going to be fun.